Have you ever been so absorbed in a creative task that time seemed to disappear? That's the flow state. And today we're going to be looking at how to tap into it and how to take advantage of it, what it is exactly, who coined it. We'll break down what the flow state is, why it's so powerful for learning, and most importantly, actionable tips on how you can enter flow while learning and practicing your creative skills or skills in general. So what is the flow state? Flow is a mental state where you're fully immersed in activity or learning. Psychologist Mihaly, sorry if I butcher his last name here, Csikszentmihalyi coined the term, describing it as a perfect balance between challenge and skill. So some of the main factors of flow state are: how do you realize that you have been in the flow state or you are in it? Intense focus and concentration, loss of self-consciousness, a sense of control over the task at hand, distorted perception of time, time's flying by and you're not really realizing that it is. And the mix of all of those create the flow state, which is something that we can take advantage of and something that can be extremely beneficial when we're learning. So why is flow important for learning, important for if we want to really take advantage of the systems we have at hand in our body for improving productivity and really enjoying the times we spend improving our skills and learning new things through curiosity? Flow is more than just a good feeling. It has powerful effects on both learning and creativity. When you're in flow, your brain optimizes attention, allowing you to deeply focus on and absorb the information on what you're doing. So some of the key points behind why you should want to take advantage of the flow state when you're learning are: the flow state allows you to really take advantage of the neuroplasticity in your brain. You can represent this as the connections between neurons. So it helps you establish, I shouldn't do circles, these connections between neurons, which helps you adapt and learn faster when you're experiencing new things in the future or when you're experiencing things in general. So when you're in flow, your brain's ability to adapt and form these new connections increases, which helps you generally just learn faster. Flow also improves and helps you generate intrinsic motivation. This is that feel-good feeling you get when you're in this flow state. Flow generates this intrinsic motivation that comes out of you, making learning enjoyable rather than a chore like normal. I really enjoy this feeling. If I ever get really focused, the feeling of actually enjoying what I'm learning is astounding. It's incredibly beneficial for your mental health and really pushing towards any new challenges you have when you're learning your new skills, you're learning new topics. And this means ultimately that you're more likely to stick with the creative practice and stick with this skill you're learning. So some tips for getting into the flow state and staying in it. Let's look at a couple. Actually, we got 4 today to hopefully help you get into this flow state next time you're learning or next time you're pursuing something new. So the first tip is make sure choose the right challenge level. So you don't want to choose something that's too challenging. And if you're pushing towards something that seems a little too daunting, a little too high level, break it down into more manageable steps. So in order to enter the flow state, you don't want something that's too daunting. You don't want to get bored, and you don't want anxiety to get in the way as well. Next tip is set clear goals when you're going to study, learn, practice your hobbies, or go paint, go write. set those clear goals so that you can enter this flow state, write them down, cross them off even. And this allows you just to keep in that state and keep pushing towards something so that you don't get those ups and downs or like, what should I do right now? So yeah, start each practice session with a small, clear goal. For instance, today I'll master this one section of painting, or I'll perfect this music scale. And if that is too daunting, too high of a challenge level, break it down into smaller steps and make those your goals. Tip 3, this is beneficial for getting into the flow state and staying in it, which is just eliminate distractions. So in a perfect world, or if you're like me, the easiest way to get in this state would be to put on earmuffs, have a cup of coffee, no distractions on either side, and I'm just focusing on one thing. This helps you get into it faster because nothing's taking your brain away from the task at hand, and it also helps you stay in it because let's say you're focused, you're working, you're doing some really good work, you're painting a masterpiece, but then someone knocks on the door, you snap out of it, get distracted, you have to chat with them. That sucks, and you're going to have to get back into the flow state as well. You're going to have to start that process of getting focused again. So eliminating any distractions you can, very good tip to stay in it and start getting into the flow state. Tip 4, last tip, is use time blocks. So what I mean by this is when you're going towards a practice session, when you're going to work on your project, set a certain time block. Let's say you only have 2 hours to work on it. Set a timer for 2 hours and only focus setting these time blocks, setting these timers, or even if you don't only have 2 hours, set a time limit on yourself, which helps you stay focused. Just set the timer, put your phone down, no distractions, set clear goals, choose the right challenge level, start the timer, and then go push towards it within that time. Once it's done, if you're still in that flow state, keep going if you want to, or you can stop, you can pick it up another day. So let's look at 2 examples of flow when pursuing creative skills or when practicing your creative skills. Actually, before that, I know I seem serious in these videos, but ultimately, when you're learning, the best thing you can do is to have fun, to play. As humans, we learn very effectively when we're having fun, when our dopamine is at an all-time high and we're playing. So the reason I seem so serious is because I'm really passionate and I want to talk to you guys about this and give you some tips that I've learned and that I've utilized, and hopefully I can give you some value out of this and help you out if you want to take advantage of these systems we have built within us. So 2 examples, painting. It's a very messy whiteboard today, but just scratching stuff out. So for artists, flow can happen when you're focused on perfecting details, working on those minuscule details on a drawing or painting, experimenting with new techniques. When the brush flows with your thoughts, time seems to disappear. So you can think of as you're painting that's not very square, as you're painting that landscape, you have these mountains. You start off with the mountains, and as you're painting these mountains in, you slowly enter the flow state. And maybe once you get to the trees, you're fully focused and you're in that state of flow where the ideas are flowing out. The brush seems to be brushing itself and time is flying by. For musicians or to give a musical example, flow happens when you're deeply immersed in perfecting a piece, whether it's practicing scales or improvising. So if you, for an example, bring back to the tips I talked about, lowering that challenge level, breaking it into smaller parts. Yeah, I'll just draw a little line like so. Imagine this is the song and you're breaking it into, or this is the piece, these small parts. Flow state starts here. As you get into here, you get a little bit more focused. Hopefully by here, you're in full flow. Your hands seem to be moving themselves if you're playing the guitar, or your mouth seems to be moving yourself if you're playing the flute. And by here, you're still fully focused, and you can maybe even just keep playing the piece on a loop if you want to just keep this state and really practice your skills. These are some not very specific examples, but hopefully they give you the idea of how the flow state comes on when you're practicing creative skills. Here's a bonus tip to help you stay in the flow. The number one thing you don't want to do is, even if you like to set a timer to give yourself those time blocks and to stay focused within a certain amount of time, number thing you don't want to do is check the clock. Checking the clock can make you distracted and take away that loss of sense of time that the flow state brings in, which can take your mind elsewhere, and really it takes your mind out of that flow state. It's hard to, I'm not sure why, but especially in the sense where you set a timer and you have that time block, if you check the amount of the timer, it creates a sense of urgency in your brain, and you lose that flow of unconscious time that is passing by. So remember, flow is about finding that sweet spot between skill, challenge, setting clear goals, and eliminating any distractions that come your way once you've entered the flow, so you can stay in it. And when you master the art of flow, you'll watch your learning skyrocket, your love for learning skyrocket, and just the speed of and the rate of learning completely be boosted to a whole new level. But before we wrap this video up, let me know in the comments if you have any tips for me, tips that you use for your own learning, whether it's to get focused, enter flow, speed up the rate of your learning, and I'll cover it in future videos or respond to your comment as well. I'm constantly lurking to learn on topics like this, and I love to interact with you guys. So before we really finish the video, we recently created a free community on School, which is Hobby Solver. It's a community of creatives and like-minded individuals from creative ventures of any sort, whether it's various different hobbies, different career paths, whether you're into painting, woodworking, photography, sewing, knitting. Within the community, you'll get free hobby and creative courses that I'll be creating myself, and I'll be collaborating with other creatives in the community to create. We'll be doing virtual meets weekly or as much as we can, so that you can connect with other individuals in the community and ask any questions, and you'll have a space to share your wins, share your struggles, and get feedback from other hobbyists and experts. And ultimately, the best thing is just you get to grow with the community. But yeah, I'll see you later.